Good morning, everyone. My name is Kyle Emmanuel A. Lambo, and I'm honored to be here today to present our research on understanding Jurgen Habermas. As Jurgen Habermas once said, the public sphere is a realm of our social life in which something approaching public opinion can be formed. Today, we will be exploring how our research can be contribute to the formation of public opinion on understanding Jurgen Habermas. Before we delve into our topic, let me tell you a bit about myself. I am a B Fellow Major at Bukidnon State University, and I have a deep interest upon understanding Jurgen Habermas. Through our research, my group mates and I hope to contribute this vital process of democratic deliberation. Without further ado, let's dive into our research findings on understanding Jurgen Habermas. As Habermas reminds us, the public sphere is not a single, unified entity, but rather a complex network of institutions, organizations, and practices that enable citizens to engage in public debate and discussion. Through our presentation, we hope to shed light on some of the key actors and dynamics that shape the public sphere in relation to our assigned topic, our very own Jurgen Habermas.
Hello everyone. Today, we'll journey into the intellectual world of Jurgen Habermas, a renowned philosopher and sociologist. But first, let me show you a brief introduction about the life of Jurgen Habermas. Jurgen Habermas was born on June 18, 1929 in the Düsseldorf, Germany. He is a philosopher and social theorist. The work focused on the foundations of theory and epistemology, the analysis of advanced capitalist industrial society and democratic and the rule of law in a critical social evolutionary context and contemporary politics. Here's an overview of what we'll be covering in this presentation. First, introduction. Second, importance of studying Jurgen Habermas. Third, purpose of research is essay. Fourth, background of Jurgen Habermas. Fifth, influence on his intellectual development. Sixth, theoretical framework. Seventh, structural in transformations of the public sphere. Eighth, the theory of communicative action. Ninth, significance and the impact of Jurgen Habermas. 10. Critique and debates. 11. Future directions. And lastly, the references. Why it is important to study Jurgen Habermas. Jurgen Habermas was a prominent philosopher of both outside academic circle and the public debate, and with them for this voluminous treatise and essay in which he fashions a comprehensive visions of modern society and the possibility of a freedom with it. Habermas' theory have greatly influenced our understanding of communications, society, and democracy. Studying his work allows us to delve deeper into these concepts. Our research aims to explore Habermas' theories, their significance, and their impact on contemporary thoughts. The purpose of our research essay is to explore and understand the theories of Jurgen Habermas, focusing on his theory of communicative actions and his concept of the public sphere. We aim to delve into these theories, their significance in social theory, and their impact on a contemporary sociology and philosophy. Additionally, we will critically analyze the critiques of Habermas' work and reflect upon their implications. Through this research, we hope to gain a comprehensive understanding of Habermas' contributions to sociology and philosophy and their relevance in today's society. Let's start by understanding who Jurgen Habermas is and his journey in the world of philosophy. Like what I said a while ago, Jurgen Habermas was born on June 18, 1929. He was born in Düsseldorf, Germany, and grew up in the post-war era. He was in his early teens when World War II and was profoundly affected by the war. He had served in the Hitler Youth and had been sent to defend the Western Front during the final months of the war. Following the Nuremberg trials, Habermas had a political awakening in which he realized the depth of Germany's moral and political failure. His realizations had a lasting impact on his philosophy, in which he was strongly against such political criminal behavior. Habermas studied at the University of Göttingen and the University of Bonn. He earned a doctorate degree in philosophy from the University of Bonn in 1954, with a dissertation written on the conflict between the absolute and history in a scaling thoughts. He then went to study philosophy and sociology at the institutions of social research under the critical theorists Max Horkheimer and Theodor Adorno, and he is considered a member of the Frankfurt School. In 1961, Habermas became a private lecturer in Marburg. The following year, he accepted the positions of extraordinary professor of the philosophy of the University of Heidelberg. That same year, Habermas gained a serious public attention in Germany for the first book, Structural Transformations and the Public Sphere, in which he detailed the social history of the development of the bourgeois public sphere. His political interests subsequently led him to conduct a series of philosophical studies and critical social analysis that eventually appeared in his book Toward a Rational Society and Theory and Practice.
Influence on his intellectual development. Habermas' work didn't develop in isolation. Let's look at the key influence that shaped his intellectual development. Like other members of the Frankfurt School, Habermas has been strongly influenced by the writings of Hegel and Marx, as well as American pragmatisms, Dewey and system theory, Parsons, and Lahmann. Habermas frequently develops his own. Thus, to review Habermas is also to review the critical material of which he has taken note. Here is the illustration by Jurgen Habermas. A society's traditions are not necessary in the best interests of individuals. Individuals need to be able to question and change these traditions. They can do this by reasoning together in the public sphere, which builds consensus, bring about change, strengthen society. Society is dependent upon a criticism of its own traditions. Theoretical framework. Here, we will delve into the core of Habermas' theories and his unique perspective. Overview of communicative action. According to Habermas, communicative action is individual action designed to promote common understanding in a group and to promote cooperation, as opposed to strategic action designed simply to achieve one's personal goals. Overview of public sphere. The Habermasian model of public sphere holds a normative claim. That is, he described a space which can only exist in an ideal democratic state, where equal participation and consideration are available to everyone.
One of the Habermas' key theories is the concept of the public sphere. We'll explore what this means and its implications. In the 1960s and 1970s, Habermas concluded that there was a linking between communicative reasons and what he calls the public sphere. Up until the 18th century, he states European culture was largely representational, meaning that the ruling classes sought to represent themselves to their subject without display of powers that required no justifications, such as impressive pageants or grand architectural projects. But in the 18th century, a variety of public space emerged that were outside states' control, including the literary salons and coffee houses. These were places where individuals could gather to increase opportunities to question the authority of, of representational state culture. The public sphere became a third space, meaning a buffer between the private space of an immediate friends, family, and the space. Habermas' liberal model of public sphere holds a normative claim. This means that it is describing many idealist issues, pointing toward how a public sphere should ideally be. As such, it does not actually exist in a modern democracy that are industrially advanced, constitute as a social welfare state, and where masses of people are supposed to form a public. It is an idealistic modern of democracy which is shaped through structural change of society that ended in a transformed understanding of a public sphere. Habermas himself had to admit that the participations of women and the inclusions of minorities is not guaranteed by his model relying on the circumstances or bourgeois society in the early 19th century. In the following interview, Jurgen Habermas described the most important result of many years of his research as well as the certain limitations. The distinctions between the public sphere and the private sphere. According to Habermas, the public sphere as a place where the free exchange of ideas and debates happen. It is the cornerstone of democracy. It is the heroes made up of private people gathered together as a public and articulating the needs of society with the state. From his public sphere grows a public authority that dedicates the values, ideas, and goals of a given society. The will of a people is expressed with it and emerge out of it. As such, a public sphere must have no regard for a social status of the participants, be focused on a common concerns, and be inclusive. All can participate. On the other flip side, the private sphere is the realm of family and home life that is, in the theory, free of the influence of the government and other social institutions. In this realm, one responsibility is to oneself and the other member of one's household, and work and exchange can take place with a home in a way that is separate from the economy of the greater society. However, the boundary between the public and private sphere is not fixed. Instead it is flexible and permeable, and is always fluctuating and evolving. The concept underlying the public sphere. A public sphere is a basic requirement to mediate between the state and society, and in an ideal situations permits democratic control of a state activities to allow discussions and the formations of a public opinion. A record of state related activities and legal actions has to be publicity accessible. Next, we'll discuss Habermas' theory of communicative actions, another cornerstone of his philosophical contributions. Habermas develops a two-level theory of modern society within which he attempts to integrate the action theoretical and system theoretical sociological perspective. One can distinguish four stages in the development of his theory. One, its action theoretical foundations in the notions of communicative actions. Two, Habermas' constructions of a concept of the life world as the social background of the communicative actions. 3. His critical review of systems theoretical concept, and finally his constructions of a model of society that can integrate insight from both the actions theoretical and theoretical approaches, a highly generalized model of social process as inter, interchange between the functional organized economic and administrative system on one hand, and the components of the communicative structures life world. This model of system life world interchange ground Habermas' account of the social pathologies of modern, particularly advanced capitalist societies. Indeed, the central intentions of Habermas' theory, this communicative adults, is to use this system life world model of society to reformulate the theory of reflections of Lukács' development, and that so I would argue came to a dead end in Adorni. The theory of reflections on Habermas' analysis became the theory of the colonializations of the communicative structure life world of the economic and administrative system. Reflections convince us the progressive monetarizations and creatifications of society's communicative infrastructure. He contended threatens the reproductions of that society. The concept underlying the theory of communicative action, due to the fact that communicative action theory is very complex and difficult to understand as containing many different philosophical and sociological theories, it would be appropriate to clarify important concepts that constitute the framework of this theory. Case and value concept. According to Habermas, everything that is included in the field of social life is accepted as the object area of a social science. Here we can see an important critic of positivism who ignore the social facts in the objective world. For him, the human is a being that is constantly interactive with his environment. This sphere of communicative interactions and lifespan is surrounded by very different social norms. However, positivism ignores the value that shapes the relationships between the human being and life, and the moves from the objective fact independent of value, which is for Habermas unavoidable interactions.
Significance and impact. Now, let's look at the broader significance of Habermas' work and its impact of sociology and philosophy. Influence. Habermas was prominent both outside academic circles for his influential contributions to social criticism and public debate, and within them for his voluminous treatises and essays in which he fashioned a comprehensive vision of modern society and the possibility of freedom within it. His work powerfully influenced many disciplines, including communication studies, cultural studies, moral theory, law, linguistics, literary theory, philosophy, political science, religious studies, theology, sociology, and democratic theory. Key contribution to academic discourse. Jurgen Habermas is widely known for his theory of communicative action, which is a social theory that suggests social action is coordinated through communication and emphasizes the importance of discourse in achieving mutual understanding. He also introduced the concept of public sphere, a space where individuals can engage a critical public debate. Critics and debates. No, theory is without critic. Well, discuss some of the debates surrounding Habermas' works. Critique on communicative action theory. The aim of censorious comprehension is to create linguistic transmission. The sole basis for attempting to take in the idea of ground through the process of formal pragmatics and also to build the idea of communicative rationality useful to institutionalize of interaction. Habermas distinguishes communicative interaction from composing a framework for a shared life world that serves as a source for data communicated implicitly. Communicative action gives an introduction to investigation of the evolution and historical distinctiveness of the life world in addition to the layout of a viable life world. Digging into Piaget's works, Habermas looks at this evolution relative to the generatic structures, classification, and the developmental logic of homologous phases of a person in societal cognitive moral learning level. Identically, in the same process, we can launch the normative contents of a human social life, unaccompanied by either stories, discredited philosophy, or a hypothesis of social actions that emphasizes agents. Their actions and the results, rather the reconciliation of causes, can arise through the process of logically regaining the legitimacy of assertion about truth, morality, and authentic subjectivity of always ready. Indirect in language, communication and are deeply rooted in the past of cultural value areas. Through conversation, focus on comprehensively and consensus brought about by the force of better person. Critique on public sphere. The concept of the public sphere introduced by Jurgen Habermas has been subject to debates and critiques. Here are some key points. Analysis and critique of the Habermasian model. There have been critical discussions on the Habermasian model of the public sphere. Scholars have analyzed its limitations and proposed alternative perspectives. Necessary conditions for the public sphere. Habermas argued that the public sphere should be open to all citizens, allowing them to freely express their opinions in a public discussion. However, some critics question whether these conditions are realistically achievable. Evaluation of democratic quality. While many theories recognize the importance of citizens' debate for a strong democracy, there are criticisms of Habermas' specific formulation of the public sphere. Some argue that it lacks a nuanced understanding of difference and fails to consider diverse discursive practices. Flaws in Habermas' concept. Some scholars regard Habermas' concept of the public sphere as flawed. They highlight limitation and propose alternative approaches to study the public sphere. Rethinking the public sphere. There is a need to rethink the public sphere to address contemporary challenges. Some argue that Habermas' more recent account of deliberative theory, where the public sphere is considered supplementary, falls short in solving democratic problems.
Finally, we'll explore how Habermas theories can guide future research and thinking in the field. Future directions of Habermas' works. Jurgen Habermas' theories, particularly his concept of the public sphere and communicative actions, have had a significant impact on a various fields, including sociology, political science, and communicative studies. In the future, we might see Habermas' theories involved or be applied in several ways. 1. In digital public sphere, with the rise of a social media and digital platforms, there's a new kind of public sphere emerging. Habermas' concept of public sphere might be applied to understand how public opinion is shaped and contested in this digital space. Second, climate change and environmental issues. Habermas' theory of communicative actions
which emphasize rational discourse and consensus building, could be used to facilitate dialogue and cooperations in addressing global issues like climate change. Third, but not least, artificial intelligence and technology. His technology advanced Habermas theories might be used to explore how AI and other technologies impact our communications, democracy, and society.
Thank you for your time, and this is where we're gonna end our video discussion about Jurgen Habermas.